Hello, I thought we'd take a look at natural gas, not because of any news event, but of what's going on with the price action over the last 5 days, which I think is really interesting. Just as a quick reminder as to what's happened, let's have a quick look at the charts. We saw the price of natural gas peak last summer around the $10 mark. And if you followed this market at all, you'll know that we saw a sell-off since then. It's been fairly relentless and has accelerated since probably December of last year, hit a multi-year low just last week. But on the shorter term charts, we have seen a much more sustainable rally this week than we have seen for quite a few weeks. So it started me thinking, is there a short-term trade here? Have we seen, if not the absolute bottom, then perhaps an important interim low? So as usual in this video, I'll go briefly through some of the news, not much has changed, and then we'll jump onto the charts. We'll take a look at the price action in a bit more detail, and I'll set a trade up because I do think it's an interesting one down here. Before we get into it, just a quick reminder: every weekend I send out a newsletter. It's free of charge. If you go to the website, you can sign up. If you go to the homepage and scroll down, you can sign up. There's a box in there to put your email address in. Also, I've been running trading course now for the last couple of years. I've been involved in markets for 20 years. I'm doing a promotion during April where you get 20% off any of the course packages. If you use the code April20, then that will apply. I'll put all of this information in the description down below. I've changed the website a bit the last few weeks. There's now information on there on the performance, my own trading, plus there's also a short video I've done on what broker I use. You'll see it during the course of this video when I get on and place the trade. So that's all on the website, davidjonestrading.co.uk. Go there to find out more, and any questions you can get in touch via the website. So let's have a quick look at some of the what's been going on with natural gas, then we'll jump onto the chart. So we know that we've seen, since the highs of last summer, we had this 80% fall in the price of natural gas. We saw it just last week, last Friday, trade to its lowest levels since August 2020. And there's a couple of things weather-wise that have affected natural gas. We saw unseasonably high temperatures the beginning of the year for winter in the Northern Hemisphere that had been affecting demand for natural gas. You know, weather does have an impact on this market. And it's had an impact over the last week or so as well. Weather models are have been suggesting cooler temperatures than expected in the coming weeks. So again, if temperatures cool, then the feeling is the demand for natural gas goes up. So this is something that's absolutely helped fuel the rally. We have had this supply-demand imbalance for some time in natural gas. But what really got my interest was what the price has done. So we've seen plenty of rallies along the way down for natural gas, and we've seen it manage to rally for a couple of days, perhaps sucks in new buyers, only for the rug to get pulled and for it to go crashing to new lows for this downtrend. But I do wonder if what we've seen since last Friday is somewhat different, and that's what gave me the idea to have a look at this and have a look at a potential trade. For me, don't forget, trading examples are for educational purposes only, but let's jump on the charts and I'll show you what I'm talking about. That even if we haven't seen a major low, perhaps we've seen an important interim low over the last week. Okay, let's take a look at natural gas. We'll start off as usual with a big picture. And we know it hit $10 in the summer of last year. And since then, particularly, I think since December of last year, we've had this fairly relentless sell-off, and plenty of people have been trying to catch the falling knife, call the bottom all the way down, only for the price to continue to push lower, trading back to roughly where it was in August 2020. But what sparked my interest in gas for this week was the more shorter term view. So I think if I just step it in, I think we need to keep a sense of perspective here, because let's not forget, it was only last Friday, so less than a week ago at the time of recording, that we saw natural gas hit this multi-year low. So we're only 5-6 days off that low. So let's not get too overexcited about calling the absolute bottom for natural gas. For fans of the RSI, we do have this thing called bullish divergence, going on with the RSI, where the market hits a low and then trades a bit lower, but the RSI is making higher lows. It can be a suggestion that perhaps the weakness has gone too far. But what caught my interest and a trade I'm going to set up is what's going on the shorter term charts. Let's flip this over to an hourly chart. So here's our hourly chart. Let's get rid of the RSI for now. So just to step things back. So back on the 6th of April, we saw gas hit a low, down around 191. Then the market rallies up to 216. And as we've often seen in this market, rallies don't last long. They get slammed, they suck in new buyers, the market gets slammed and moves to new lows. And that's what we saw last Friday. So we saw Friday around about between 12 and 1 UK time at the beginning of the afternoon. We saw gas move to a fresh low, but very briefly. But look at the moves since then. And what's interesting for me is the fact that we've rallied so far and taken out some big levels. And with natural gas, we've got to go back to here, back to the end of Feb, where we saw a sizable rally that broke some big levels on the way up. In the end, it came to nothing. We did have a big move, though. We had a 50% move in the gas price before it resumed that major downtrend. And I'm just wondering how far this rally goes. We've broken through what had been a barrier around about, I think, 215, 216. I've said on previous videos, we've seen the market trade as high as 234 yesterday. Sell off, it sold off to 214 yesterday. So we saw a 10% swing pretty much in the price on Wednesday of this week, but we're seeing it recover. So I do wonder, is the short-term trade here to position ourselves for perhaps more of a bounce? And that's what I'm thinking about doing. That's the trade I'm going to set up. If we zoom things out, what could the next target be? Well, I suppose if I'm going to be quite aggressive on this short-term chart, perhaps we'll see a run back up to the mid-March highs. So that could be my first objective. So looking for a move back up to about 260, 265, that sort of area. So I think that's an interesting trade to consider here. The only question, and it's a big question, is where does my stop go? A really aggressive place for a stop, not one I would do. But the other side of yesterday's low was around 214 in natural gas cash. If you're trading the futures markets, it might be slightly different. If we go back to the beginning of the week, we had a low on Monday of this week around 210. So if I'm looking for the biggest swing in gas, then perhaps the trade I'm looking for here is a stop loss the other side of 210. Let's set this up. What I'm going to do, we know it's a volatile market. I'm going to set up an order to buy if there's a bit more weakness in natural gas, and I'm going to put my stop loss. Let's say I know 210 is a bit of a level. Let's say I'm going to go the other side of that. Let me bring the trading platform over and let's set that up. So I'm on the trading platform now. Now, depending on who you trade with, the levels can be slightly different depending on what contract they're using. So when I was looking on the charts, 210 was the low from Monday on my trading platform. 226 is the low from Monday. So the levels are slightly different, but the overall reasoning for the trade is still the same. So we're still looking at an hourly chart. So what I want to do, I want to have a stop loss somewhere the other side of 226. Let's say I go 215 for a stop. I know that gas is a volatile market. I want to give it a bit of time to move around. Let's set it up. And I'd like to buy a drop. Let's say the market trades back towards yesterday's low around 230. I'd like to be a buyer. Let's set that trade up. So I'd like to be a buyer at 230. So I'll put that in. I'm going to have my stop loss in at, let's say, 215. And when it comes to sizing the trade, let's say I only want to risk losing $300 on the trade. At the moment, with that order, if I'm a buyer at 230 and I buy one and get stopped at 215, then my risk is $150. I'm happy to lose 300. So I just double the size. There we go. Place the order. And that's it, the order's in. So there's my buy limit, buying 2 at 23 if the market sells off to yesterday's low. If that order gets filled, put a stop loss down at 215. Perhaps, a more sensible stop would be to give the market a bit more room. You could put a stop loss underneath the lows from here, on this example, down around 2040. If you think there's going to be perhaps even more volatility. But let's see how that trade works out. So that's my idea here. Of course, don't forget, trading is just for educational purposes. The trades on here are absolutely Would not say just to follow blindly trading ideas, but I thought it'd be interesting to set one up on natural gas and see how it works out. To find out who I trade with, go to the website. I'll put a link in the description to the video. I've done a short 10-minute video on my website explaining what's important to me from a trading platform and why I trade on this platform. And at the same time, while you're looking on the website, you can have a look at the performance of my trading from November to January. I was trading different markets based on my trading course. There's a performance section on the website. Again, the performance, past performance is no guarantee of future performance, but I was trading a £4,000 account and the realised profits were just under £2,200 in that 3-month period. But have a look on the website to find out more and find out more details about the courses. And of course, there's that voucher till the end of April 20, gives you 20% off any of the courses, but there's more details on the website. The link will be in the description for this video. So I do wonder, in the short term, are we going to see a bit more of a run from natural gas from here? Let's see what happens. We know it's a volatile market. There have been so many false dawns in this slide of natural gas. And when we zoom the chart out and take a look at the last few months, what we've seen over the last couple of days is still just a small blip in what's going on in natural gas. But I thought it was interesting, given the fact we saw the break on Friday briefly to fresh lows, but we've seen the market turn around and react quite sharply since then. Let's see what happens, but an interesting market to watch. I think if we start dropping below those Monday lows set earlier this week, the risk is for a deeper sell-off. Perhaps we go back to those old lows that we saw just at the end of last week. So that's some short-term thoughts on natural gas, but let's go back to the bigger picture. If we took a step back, what we've seen over the last week is just a blip, an upwards blip, and we've seen plenty of upwards blips, short-term rallies in the price of natural gas over the last 10 months that have come to nothing. So I think it's still a bit too early to be calling a major turning point. What needs to happen for it to look as if the low is definitely in? Well, personally for me, I'd want to see a previous major high broken. And the most recent major high we've got, as far as I'm concerned, is the early March high. And that comes in around 297 on natural gas in the cash market. And that's from the 3rd of March. So let's call it $3. If natural gas can rally past 3, we've seen a real sustainable rally for a change in the price of natural gas. So if I was looking for a longer term trade on natural gas, I'd still be happy to sit on my hands. Let's not forget, it was only last Friday we saw this market make another multi-month low. I think it's interesting what's going on in the short term, but from a more medium term point of view, I'm quite happy to stay patient and see if this is the end of the trend or just another false dawn before the price crashes lower again. That's it for the update in natural gas. So a bit shorter term than usual, but like I said, from a price action point of view, I'm a big fan of looking at price action and how the market behaves around certain levels. I think it's been an interesting few days for the natural gas price. We'll see how it performs. I'll do an update in the live stream that's held every Friday. So if you're not subscribed, click on subscribe and click on the notification alarm bell so you get a notification when the live streams start. Go to the website to find out more about the broker I use and that code, that April 20 code, if you'd like to join one of the courses to get 20% discount if you sign up before the end of April. Any questions, get in touch with me. But for now, on natural gas, we'll leave things there. We'll see how things work out. So until the next time, good luck with your trading.